Hey. So, welcome to the. Damn, I forgot what the podcast was called already. I need to stop smoking. This is the first episode. So, the podcast is called Healing from Trauma. HFT. And I came up with this podcast because shout out to my friend who also has a mental health podcast. I was just actually finished up on another podcast that is more so news commentary. It's pretty much our discussions about what's going on, trending topics, all that good stuff. Then I have another podcast where it's a story time, sort of say, along with, conversational pieces where we're just engaging with, I guess, what's the question of the day or what's going around on the internet or what have you. And while doing those podcasts are fun, and one of them, the storytime one, was originally my release of self. Pretty much, this is where I come and talk about all my stories, XYZ. Well, there's plenty parts to me, I feel like, but there's another part to me when it comes down to, who I am. So the Petty on the Rocks podcast is pretty much, I would say, the outgoing, fun, transparent self. But then you have the withdrawn, socially awkward self. And that self is doing this podcast right now because I feel like I need an outlet for my other side, my withdrawn side, if you will. So I was just sitting up it was like 5-something this morning, and I just began to cry. I was crying because ultimately I miss my children, and I was just in a place of woe is me. And I started to think, how is it possible to, I guess I know how it's possible, because nothing can ever replace the love of your children, missing your children, loving your children, being in a shitty situation without your children. I digress. And it dawned on me to talk about the things that ultimately shaped my perspective of life, people, and even myself. So I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. This is a different vibe. This isn't my happy, jokey, humor in a dark place vibe. This is like morning depression. And I'm pretty sure if I'm dealing with it, because I used to go through a phase where I felt like I'm the only one that got problems, I'm the only one that's ever been through this, I'm the only one that's ever been through that. And that's the furthest thing of the truth. You're not the only one that has a dysfunctional family. You're not the only one that, if it's applicable, you're not the only one that's ever been violated. You're not the only one that's ever lost a loved one. And it's that doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything at all. As comforting as I would wish it made me feel, it doesn't mean a god darn thing. And this is why I'm here, because I want to talk about just how different things can influence depression, influence perspective, and ultimately life quality, if you will, and how your mental can be a hindrance if you allow it. So, like, I miss my children every day, all day, right? However, I've made a mental block to not think about what I can't change at the very moment, and to basically not think about what I can't change in the current moment and just think about everything else. The problem with my brain is it just never stops thinking, especially about the worst. Like, what is the cause of my not being happy? What is the cause of just not having positive thoughts? And I'm currently coping and working on a solution, because your mindset is very, very important to your health, not just your mental health, like your actual health. Like, too much stress is not good for anybody. And it's like, how can you not stress when you know there's things to stress about? So hopefully this podcast will aid in healthy releases, because I don't believe it's bad to cry. I believe it's okay to cry. I feel like crying cleanses the spirit. It just helps release that, what would be anger and everything else bottled up, versus going out doing something irrational, or trying to do a drug or a vice to suffice, to fill the void. So I feel crying is not a sign of weakness. I feel like it's another way to express what you're feeling on the inside, whether it's sadness, anger, of course, pain. But yeah, I just feel that if I can help anyone, that would be amazing. Because I watch enough documentaries and things of that nature where, it's still going. Okay. I watch a lot of documentaries and things of that nature, and I pretty much see a lot of different things. Like, on one end, you see people that are in way different conditions, just going through different circumstances, that some might see worse than what they're going through physically, but somehow they manage to be happy and they manage to function within society. And sometimes I envy that, because it's like, here I am with the basics, the necessities that a lot of us take for granted. Here's a person that may not be able to use their limbs or weren't born with limbs or whatever the case may be, and they still find happiness in life. And here I am feeling like a piece of crap. So it's like, what gives? Like, how do you obtain that inner peace? Like, it can't be everything being right in your life, because if that's the case, they wouldn't be happy. So how are they happy when things aren't what they might have expected? Their expectations for their life quality. That's pretty much where I'm at with it. How to attain self-content and happiness mentally. Because physically, I feel like I'm okay. Like, I don't have any real mental hold-ups on myself about my physical. But my mental is a totally different thing. My mental feels like I have every bag on the, what is that, conveyor belt, the little boat down at the luggage claim when you get off the plane. Like, that's what I feel like. That's my brain, and all those freaking suitcases and all that shit. That's what's going on, and that tributes to my social awkwardness, lack of trust, and so forth and so forth. And I'm practicing a new mantra, and pretty much it's heal, not deal. So, like, for the majority of my life, I just dealt with the things that happened to me, mentally trying to block them out, not acknowledging them, and just, I guess just dealing, just going on with life as if it didn't happen, but all while knowing it did, and subconsciously allowing it to affect the outcome of my decisions. If that makes any goddamn sense. So it's like, sexually being violated does something to you. It makes you just want to expose you, of course. It exposes you to different emotions and feelings that you as a child is not prepared to articulate, one, and it just does something to you. And I feel like it ultimately aided in my decisions and things that pertain to sex. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I just always just went with stuff and just dealt with it, even to the point of not setting boundaries for myself. So, no, I'm not.